want to get the thoughts then of very well-known veteran newspaper editor. It's Peter Bruce who's made the time for me this afternoon. Peter, good to have you on eNCA, and I believe I find you in Stanford in the Western Cape. Many people following you on social media. I saw some of the videos earlier. Just help me understand exactly where you are. Just geographically orientate me, for those of us who don't know the Western Cape, and how bad's it been?
Right. So Stanford is roughly halfway between Hermanus and Gansbaai. There's quite a brand new road, and the road they're still working on between Stanford and Gansbaai. So we're about 20 kilometers from each of those towns, and just off the road. We are very close to a river called the Klein River, which has the distinction of being the river in South Africa where the mouth and the source are the closest. And the Klein River is normally a docile little sort of stream that ends it doesn't even have a mouth, really. It's a blind lagoon outside of Hermanus. A lot of people will know there's a very large lagoon, and that's fed by the Klein River. And it opens during periods of heavy rainfall. But this morning we woke up to unbelievable scenes in the village. I've never seen so much water in the river. Our little stream has become an absolute monster. I think we had, according to people in the village, more than 100 millimeters of rain in a few hours this morning.
Yeah, that was the expectation from the Weather Service, 100 millimeters at least, or in excess of that. So apart from the river running at very high levels, this little lagoon, Peter, is it causing damage, or is it starting to cause problems with roads and access points?
The roads are down everywhere. The bridge on the road between Hermanus and Gansbaai, Hermanus and Stanford, is covered in water, or was an hour ago. So that's closed. The road to Gansbaai is closed. The road to through the Himmerland Aarde Valley from Hermanus to Caledon is closed. The N2 is closed near Bot River. It's a mess. It really is. It's a real mess. And of course, there's no electricity either, because these things, it always goes down when there's heavy weather.
I was about to ask you, what is the situation with the power, but you've elaborated on that. Local authorities, are you seeing them out and about, or is this one of those towns that seems to be forgotten about?
They're trying their best. I mean, no. It's, the municipality is pretty on the ball, and I was impressed to see, sort of municipal drains working this morning when I went out. The water going into them, not sort of swirling around them. A lot of people have been forced out of their homes, which have been, in some cases, almost completely submerged near the river. Fortunately, the informal settlements near Stanford are on higher ground, so people are safer there. But there's been substantial damage and a lot of disruption to people's lives, and it's not over yet. I mean, it's still raining on and off. The river is still, monstrous, and there's no power. So I expect there to be no power tonight, given sort of a few years' experience of when these things go down, they go down in a big way.
Veteran newsman, I'm going to ask you to put your veteran journalist hat on for a second. Is there a way that this should be better, or is this what you'd expect from local government and local municipality? Fairly impressed, or could things always be better?
Well, things could always be better. I mean, we were told, you're told when you come and live in a little village like this, always where the last great flood was, and there's every sort of village law has 100-year high water mark, and the water today is well above that 100-year high water mark, whenever that might have occurred. So this is a really, really big, this is a big flood. Given that, I think the Overstrand municipality has done extremely well. It's got people out. I haven't heard of any injuries or casualties or deaths from this flooding, and it's very severe flooding. So there's a lot of communication. It's instant. I would have appreciated, probably, or some people would have appreciated, I've been all right, I'm on higher ground. But, I think people would have appreciated a real flood warning, saying, be careful, look out, watch out for this, watch out for the rivers, because people have been caught asleep sometimes, as water then begins to lap into the bottom of their homes, and that's very scary.
It just occurred to me, I was looking at one of your tweets, and those who follow mountain biking actually know the area of Stanford, Cape Epic, finishing there earlier this year. So a very different look to now, but I see cars swept away as well. I mean, give me a sense, was that first-hand witnessing that, or is that just what you're hearing from neighbours? Because I imagine this came through very quickly.
A good friend of mine and his wife were very, very nearly swept away in their car this morning, and were saved by local, local volunteers who were out and were watching for that sort of thing, and so they're very lucky. And we're all very relieved that they're okay.
And obviously, I'm not going to expect you to be a meteorologist, Peter. There's many things you've done in your life. I don't think meteorology is one of them. You said maybe give it a go. Is there concerns overnight, more flooding once the lights go down and once the sun sets? It's going to get worse?
I think the expectation is that the waters will recede. They're already beginning to slightly. And the weather forecast for tomorrow is ridiculously sunny. And fine. So this is the Cape. You know, when you come down to the Cape from Johannesburg, nothing prepares you for the weather. We're not talking about the odd sort of summer thunderstorm here. This is epic rain. This is relentless weather. It's like being at sea.
No talk of evacuations, though.
No, I don't think that's necessary now. I think that. Look, I'm just talking for Stanford. I mean, there'll be other parts of the Overstrand that are in probably even more trouble than Stanford, and poorer people living in perhaps shacks or whatever it is on low ground. Heaven help them. I mean, this is when you really want your local authority to be on the ball, and I hope that the Overstrand come through and look after their citizens. But I don't know what's going to happen, but I suspect that it'll get easier from now on.
Well, that certainly is the hope for everyone down in the Western Cape and your part of the country as well. Out in Stanford for us, Peter Bruce, veteran news editor and journalist, of course, living in that part of the country, just giving us his sense of what it's like. No power for him. Areas in his part of the Western Cape shut down. One of his close friends' cars being almost swept away with them inside this morning. The power is out. So the Western Cape, we are watching very closely the situation as it unfolds. Of course, we'll bring you the very latest. Peter suggesting, and quite right as well, looking at the weather for tomorrow in the Western Cape, it looks like it is drying up, but that is going to be absolutely no help at all to everyone in the Western Cape today. Now,